my very first deal, I made $9,800. Now it took me 6 months to do it, right? But it was evidence and proof to me, like, okay, this is what I should jump into.
If you're investing, investors will.
The podcast for all things real estate investing.
So welcome back to another episode of Investor One-on-One. Today's guest is a dynamic real estate investor and community builder who's making a lasting impact in the housing market and the neighborhoods he serves. As the owner of Verified Flippers, he's built a business known for turning distressed properties into thriving homes while creating opportunities for other investors to succeed. From negotiating deals to mentoring aspiring entrepreneurs, he's as passionate as people as he is about profit, bridging the gap between real estate success and community growth. So please welcome to the show, Tez Arbertha.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, man. It's a true blessing to be here.
It's so good having you on, man. So yeah, how did you first get into real estate and what inspired you to start Verified Flippers?
Man, dude, wow. What a question. I love it. So first, to answer the first piece of it, what got me into real estate, how did first get into real estate? I was actually selling homeowners insurance to people and back home about 9 years ago, August of 2016, I jumped into real estate. And as I was selling homeowners insurance, I was recruited by somebody who worked for a new home builder back home. And she was like, "Man, you're really, really personable. You could do really good in sales. You should come try to sell something to make more money than than just insurance policies." And so anyway, I locked in, bro, and that's how I got started. And then how I started Verified Flippers, or why I started it, is because back in 2020, actually 2020, yeah, 2020, after working in new home construction, then jumping into wholesaling. I had a good career in wholesaling for about 2.5 years. Things were going good, and I started to post stories on TikTok. Post different things about wholesaling, and I didn't know how under the radar or I'm sorry, I didn't know how off the radar, I guess, wholesaling was for a lot of people. And when I shared that information, my TikTok just kind of blew up, overnight. It started to really pop. The information I was sharing really started to help people. And I started to try to respond to comments and respond to messages. And it just became too excessive because it was a lot of people. And I'm like, man, I want to answer these questions, but how can I do it on a wide scale? And also to where it makes sense for myself. Because I was setting time aside responding to these comments, bro. Well, after walking a flip or, before going to the gym. And I just found myself spending so much time. And that's when I found out that people were actually teaching people online and building communities on how to do things. And I was just like, I didn't even know this was going on. Like my head was down grinding. And so that's how I started Verified Flippers. I wanted a community type aspect because I also saw where a lot of people were kind of starting courses or they would learn about something and not get support after, right? Like they would go through the course but not have help. And I said, okay, well, if I can build a community around this information, then people will always have somewhere to go to. In addition to that, I saw it as being something that could be powerful not only for a person in the community but also myself, man. A lot of the information and things that I share in my community, it was things I wish that I had. And so being able to make an impact on them is super powerful. And also I get to buy deals from these people. So it works so well, man. It works so well.
I love that, man. And talking about community, as a real estate investor today, how important is having that social media and digital presence?
Man, I will say it depends on you said as an investor, right?
Yeah, as a real estate investor trying to create a
Man,
community.
trying to create a community, you need social media. You got to have it if you want to create a community. I definitely, but also it depends on what type of community and how widespread you want it to be. Because, I do believe in the power of one thing, and I say that after being somebody who wants to juggle a lot of things. So it's not like I always had this zeroed in. But if you want to come, if you are head down in the trenches and you're a real estate investor and you want a community, depending on what you're looking to do social media is definitely important, right? But I think that everybody has their own path. I know guys that are real estate investors with communities not on social media, but they don't desire to have a community as large as mine, right? When they think community, they think five people. When I think community, I think 5,000. Right. And so it's like, what size of an impact do you want to make? That's the first thing. Check your heart and see where you really want to go before being distracted with other things like social media. You may not necessarily need it to go to a few networking events, meet some really cool guys like yourself, and just hang out. on weekends and still do deals. So what does community mean to you is probably one of the first things you should look into.
For sure. And when starting out, was there a defining moment or a deal that made you realize this was the business that you wanted to commit in the long run?
Oh man, what a question, dude. No, man, actually, I don't think there was a deal. I think it was more so just God kind of showing me that it was possible for me to operate on my own and not depending on a job. There was more things going on with my work and my current work-life balance, where closing a deal was more affirmation. Um, So I guess the answer to that, yeah. I'm sorry. I guess the answer is yes. There was a deal. It was my first wholesale deal where, I was working. I was making about $10,000, $12,000 a month at my job, and it was good money. Don't get me wrong, especially in 2000, 18, 19. I was making really good money in sales. And and so it was a deal where I was like, man, if I can just make $10,000, I'll be okay. Like if I can just, in my very first deal, I made $9,800. Now it took me 6 months to do it, right? But it was evidence and proof to me, like, okay, this is what I should jump into. So yes, bro, that deal was that.
Awesome. And nowadays, what's your process for finding and evaluating distressed properties with strong flip potential?
Man, so in order to find them, we have different models. It's funny, I was just talking to a buddy last night at his house. I was talking to Elijah Rubin. I don't know if you know him, successful guy, big, good brand out here in Arizona. And man, my process now is shifted. At the top of the year, we were focused. We were more focused on quantity of leads versus quality of leads. And so I built this big team of about 12 closers. I mean, 12 team members total, about nine closers, and other, virtual assistants and things like that. And dude, we had a pretty big operation, and we were getting a whole lot of contracts, right? Because we were focusing on just inbound digital marketing through Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and things like that. And so what I noticed is, dude, we would get a lot of leads. We would get a lot of leads coming in, a lot of opportunities, lock up a whole lot of deals, but it was so shotgun style throughout the US, right? And so now we're more so focused on just virtually wholesaling in five targeted markets, and we do PPC, we do pay per lead, and we still do some digital marketing through Facebook and TikTok. So just mostly inbound.
I know you spoke a little bit about five markets. What are those markets, and are there property types you focus on?
Oh man, yeah. So the five markets that we're looking at right now is Michigan, Illinois, Oklahoma, Arizona, and Texas. And and whenever I look at my avatar for a property, it's different depending on what county we're looking in because there's information that I pull like average sales price of a property, right? Because I try to stay within that niche, knowing that flippers or investors are going to stay either at that number or below that number. I don't like to go above that number because that's where the majority of people are shopping and selling, right? And so if the investor in that market knows that they can sell their property, they're going to flip in that buying pool. I know for myself in Oklahoma, I want to stay at 250 and below. Average sales price in Oklahoma is 247, right? And I may go up to 300, but I know most flippers, they want to sell where houses are not sitting on the market. That's one thing that we're struggling with throughout the country, widespread across market to market. Some markets like, New York and things like that, properties are flying off the shelf depending on where you are. And New Hampshire, it really depends in the US where you are. But for our market specifically, when we choose our property avatar, we're looking at average sales price.
For sure. And you are remote. So let's say you get a lead. What's your step-by-step process for determining if it's like worth pursuing?
Man, our step-by-step process when determining if it's worth pursuing, we have numbers of exits. Like I just talked to a guy in San Antonio, Texas yesterday for like 2 hours, explaining cash didn't work. Retail buyers program, which is our novations, didn't work, right? Then we go seller finance, and we try to pitch all of these options to see what's going to work. I'm licensed in Oklahoma, so I can refer it to an agent if it makes sense, pick up a fee. But if none of those options work, like from cash to retail buyers program or novation, however you want to, phrase that, or if it doesn't work out as seller finance or subject to, more than likely we're out, right? And so most times it's just trying to see if we can be a good fit for that client. If it works better as an agent, we may refer one, but most times people have somebody they want to roll with as an agent, and so we try to make that referral. But That's how we determine if it's worth pursuing. If none of our options work, it doesn't make sense.
For sure. And Ted, as I said, you have great energy. You come from the sales industry. You're good with people. What
Thank you, bro.
negotiation tactics have worked best for locking in contracts at prices that you want?
Man, dude. So I would say what process works best. It's funny you just got back from San Diego. Back when I worked for that home building company, there was a guy out there by the name of Jeff Shore. I know he's still out there. I don't know if you know who this guy is, but he has a really, really, really big brand. And what he does is, man, he teaches people how to find motivation in a seller, right? And it's not just motivation, it's more so current dissatisfaction. He calls it CD. I call it CD in my company. And current dissatisfaction is what I focus on in a conversation. And so a lot of my negotiation tactics is understanding the seller better than anybody. Before I even go into pitching a solution or anything, I need to know what's going on. And if I can't sense any motivation, or if you don't have any motivation, it's going to make it really, really tough to actually pursue an in-depth conversation because people don't sell their house because of price or money. They sell it because of current dissatisfaction. And a whole lot of times people struggle to find current dissatisfaction and then they try to go into negotiation way too early. So, like a lot of what I do is I try to get enough current dissatisfaction, try to get that person to burn down that house in terms of what's going on in their life and why they need to leave that alone. And then I take the end of the conversation, being negotiation, as the cure or the solution to the current dissatisfaction. And so when they sign my contract, I try to, paint a picture of once you sign this, right? Once you sign this contract, it's going to take care of your current dissatisfaction. And so I like to almost prescribe a strategy that's going to help them overcome their current situation. And so my focus is really just identifying motivation and then solving that motivation with a strategy that's going to help them.
That's some great insights, man. Thanks for sharing that. And
Yes, sir.
you spoke a little bit in the beginning about when you got a lot of leads, then it was hard to manage. So, do you have any systems or tools that you can recommend to our investors watching right now that help you keep track of leads, follow-ups, and different contracts?
Absolutely, my man. I would say Simply is a great software that's helped me a lot in my business. I love their platform. It's just so many facets to it. Simply combined with our WhatsApp channel in my company, and do we just keep each other accountable that way. And then I would definitely say like a weekly team meeting is very important. You got to meet with your team. You gotta make sure you're meeting with the squad and staying on top of things. But I would say Simply has helped me a lot.
Awesome. And for new wholesalers and investors, what are the common mistakes you're seeing them in today's market doing, and how can they avoid them?
I would say shiny object syndrome. That's one that has taken a lot of people, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier is the power of one thing. I would just say, a lot of newbies, they jump in, they get distracted by everything online or, all the different things. It's just like, hey, find something that works for you from lead, from finding motivation in sellers and following up with sellers to, strategies to take the seller down. You know, don't worry about trying to learn so much or implement a lot of things just because you hear me talk about it or other people. It's like, okay, cash and then retail buys program. What's that? What's subject to? What's just refer to somebody who you think could be a good person, get a fee, and just focus on your thing until you can build it out. So I would just say just like kind of focusing on one thing, one strategy, understanding it full in depth. It distracts a lot of people and kind of slows them down.
For sure. Great advice, man. And for every investor that's successful, there's ups and downs. For you, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from a deal that didn't go as planned?
Oh my gosh, man. Um, the biggest lesson that I learned from deals that didn't go planned, honestly, I learned that I can't scale. I suck at scaling a huge flipping process, right? The most deals I've done at one time was like 12, remodeling and getting them. And dude, I sucked at that process. It's like I know now that hey, just don't go take a deal on just because you can, right? Like there's value in taking a fast nickel over a slow dime. There's value in taking a fast nickel over a slow dime, right? And so, like, what do I mean by that? Well, there's value in knowing that you can get in and out of a deal, and try not to undervalue what you do. And I say that because I hope this really hits home for some people because it hit home for me. A lot of times when we jump into wholesaling or we jump or when we start something new, we devalue it because that's how we started, right? And I want to say this because a lot of wholesalers, they see flipping as a graduation. They see it as like, oh, okay, I started out wholesaling. Now it's time to flip because they hear some guys go into it or they see people flipping. And they think that it's actually a promotion in this industry. And I disagree. Like I disagree because it's so much more headache. It's so much more responsibility. It's so much more that goes into it. Dude, when you master how to get in and out of a real estate deal, you don't deal with the headache that a lot of these flippers have, right? Like interest rates changing, market conditions, contractors stealing money from you, mismanaging budgets, holding costs, like just get in and out of the deal. And if you can scale that model, you don't have the responsibility that a flipper does. And I would say my biggest thing is, dude, you know scaling a flipping operation and leaving behind what got me to where I was and devaluing wholesaling. I felt like it was like bottom of the barrel because some people make it that way, but a lot of those people are people who can't find a deal. Is not as good as me at finding deals. There are also people who rely on wholesalers to get their deals across the finish line, right? And by the time they get it, they got skinny margins, and it's like, okay, just stay focused on what you got going on and just wholesale and move that into long-term wealth, right? Not worrying about flipping because if you scale wholesaling, you can make more money than flippers with less stress.
For sure. That's some great advice, man. I love that. And Tez, today, if you had to start all over, from scratch with the wisdom that you've gained over the years, but with only $10,000, how would you start today? What would you do?
I would go straight digital marketing. If I had 10K, that's a lot of money, to be honest. That's a lot of money to go market. I would go straight digital marketing. I would go pay per lead, and I would build that model out to where it then was a pillar in my business that I also complemented with PPC, with Google PPC, right? And I would focus there. It would just be me, one dispo person at first. It was just me and one dispo person. That's it. That's all you need. You and one dispo person. You don't need this massive operation. Focus on deal quality over deal quantity, right? And so when you pay these pay per lead companies and like motivated sellers and you have these companies, they're going to bring you quality leads. They're running that PPC campaign essentially for you, right? And so you're able to choose your market and dial it in. And you may only get 5 leads, in a week versus 50 leads in a week. Because all of us want all these leads, but managing those leads, stay on top of those leads, and a lot of them aren't motivated, dude, it becomes a distraction. You want to talk to motivated people. So the tough thing about that is that when you're ambitious, you see opportunity time. You're like, man, I haven't got a lead all day. Like, what's going on? And it makes you antsy. And so a lot of us want busy work. But if I'm you, listen, you got 10,000 bucks, you're just getting started. Focus on quality leads over quantity and just get those things across the finish line, man.
For sure. Tez, you're awesome, man. What's next for you on a personal level, and what's next for you on a business level?
Man, great question, dude. So thank you for one for the compliment. And so what's next for me on the business level, man, is I'm just growing the brand. Hearing about a month and a half. I'm going to be speaking at Wholesaling Live. Pace Morby's going to be speaking there. A few other big names. Nick Perry is going to be speaking there. And so, man, it's a blessing to be able to grow the brand. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I just want to network with great people, grow my brand, make more impact, have a large impact on other people, and also just do some buying and holding out here in Phoenix. I keep hearing it's really tough to do it here, but picking up some rental properties and building some wealth while also wholesaling and doing my thing there. So, on a business level, that's kind of my focus: growing the brand, building the company, building more wealth in terms of holding real estate and networking, right? Just kind of growing there. And then personally, man, me and my wife, we actually just got married last week. It was a beautiful, beautiful
Oh,
situation. And so I would say on a personal level, I would say just kind of not even kind of strengthening my relationship with Christ has been really big. It's helped me tremendously. And so I'm on a pursuit to help inspire more business people about God, about how impactful it is there. And I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I feel like God is really calling me to pour into more people in business and tell them what really helped me get through tough times in my business and personal life. So personally, man, I want to grow my voice in Christ and grow my relationship and keep being who I am for my family.
well, congratulations, first of all. And second of all, you for sure inspired me today, man. I'm really happy we connected. And to inspire the rest of the investors watching this, can you leave us with a quote, a piece of advice that you truly believe in?
Absolutely, bro. I don't know if there's any quotes out there, but I'll give you one. I'm sure there's a lot of them, bro. I got them all over my wall. You know, I got these
Uh-huh.
frames. It's not over when you lose. It's over when you quit, right? And so I can hit you with all these things, but to be honest with you, bro, I just want to say keep God first, man. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. There's a lot of times where we want to figure it out for ourselves, and especially when you're entrepreneurs, there's so many things in your control. When things aren't, you don't feel good. But I need you to know none of these things are in your control. None of these things that you have are yours, right? Because when you die, somebody's going to live in your house. When you die, somebody's going to drive your car, and that gives you perspective to know, like, okay, these things are just mine temporarily. And so you really give thanks and the glory to God every day, man. A lot of things becomes a whole lot easier, simpler, and you accept a lot more, right? You kind of roll with the punches of life because they're going to come. So I'll just say keep God first, man, and keep pushing. That's it.
I love that. Taz, thank you so much for sharing your journey, wisdom, and strategies with us today. For any
Absolutely.
investors that want to connect with you and learn more about verified flippers or follow your work, where's the best place for them to reach you?
Man, I'll tell them go check me out on Instagram, man. At Tez Arbertha, at TezArbertha. That's it. Check me out.
Awesome. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you for tuning in and stay connected for more interviews with the nation's top investors. Thank you, Tez.
Let's go, my man. Thank you.